Well said. Final question. I'm going to let you go because I know you've got to fill in guest host for Glenn Beck tonight. And congratulations on your huge success as your star rises, because you're the bona fide constitutionalist. We really, really appreciate you, Judge Andrew Napolitano. But in closing, I would like to get you to comment, on just how special George Washington and Andrew Jackson were. They got all this power and then did give it up. They wanted George Washington to be a king. These were amazing founding fathers we had. And what would they think of what's happening today, where NOAA, Satellite Information Service, the federal government admits the coldest winter so far in the last 50 years, the third coldest in the last 100. Meanwhile, they're openly announcing that they're going to list carbon dioxide as a toxic waste and tax it when humans exhale it. Can you end with speaking about our founders compared to the material we've got in Washington today and what they would think of taxing what plants breathe?
The founders tried to do two things with the Constitution. One was to create a federal government strong enough to protect us from invasion and to do national-type things like run a post office and make sure that there's trade between the states. The other was to restrain the federal government so that it wouldn't interfere with our personal liberties. They specifically gave us a constitution that kept the federal government away from any type of relationship with individuals, because they knew that the greatest threat to freedom comes not from your enemy on the outside who you can see and look at, but from the smiling face of the government on the inside who claims that it's going to take care of you. And presidents like George Washington, whose closest advisor, Alexander Hamilton, wanted him to be king. And Andrew Jackson, who basically said to the Supreme Court, they've gone ahead and made their federal bank, let them find the money and put the deposits in the federal bank. These were people who understood that there were natural limits on what government can do and written limits on what the federal government can do, and they stuck to those limits. The present government and its predecessors, from Lincoln to Wilson to FDR to George W. Bush to Barack Obama, have so distorted out of proportion what the federal government is to do that the founders would not recognize it at all and would probably want to take up arms against it.
What are you covering tonight, and then we'll let you go? I hope you're going to be covering the health care and cap and trade, because
it's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about health care. We're talking about the state of the economy. We're talking about the government subpoenaing media entities wanting to know who earns how much money, because they have to decide whose income taxes to audit next.
You're kidding. Wait a minute. They're not just... The federal government is subpoenaing media people to know.
They're subpoenaing media companies to find out who earns what and what their Social Security numbers are. This is getting so bad, so quickly, far worse than any of us imagined. And the present president hasn't even celebrated his first year in office yet.
Well, since you brought that up, since you brought that up, let me just ask you now. Senator Lamar Alexander's gone to the floor and talked about, he's confirmed there's an enemies list. He warned him and said, look, I worked for Nixon. Don't do this. It's been reported I am on the enemies list. I'm going from memory. I think you are too. But what is it? I mean, this is crazy. It is scary to know that there's a real enemies list. And is this not illegal, Judge?
Well, it's illegal for the president to compile a list of people who disagree with him on the basis of their political opinions and their outspoken words. That was specifically written into the privacy law in 1974, enacted and signed into law by President Ford shortly after President Nixon resigned. These are restraints expressly enacted to restrain the president. But this White House, just like it doesn't respect freedom of contract, just like it doesn't respect freedom of speech, just like it doesn't respect privacy, doesn't respect this either.
Well, I tell you, it's scary, and everybody should pray for the people that are on that list, myself included. Judge, what's the best website for people to visit to find out about all things Judge Napolitano?
Well, they can go to foxnews.com where my Freedom Watch appears, as do my monologues when I fill in for Glenn, as do many of my op-eds. And, Alex, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed being on with you. I hope we get to do this a lot more in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge. Take care. Have a great weekend coming up.
You as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday, but I'm already thinking about the weekend because I'm going deer hunting. All right. Yeah, you go get your hamburger out of the drive-thru window. That's okay. I'm able to go hunting.